Everybody, this is breaking news. Nancy Pelosi is very confident that Democrats will reach a deal this month, and Joe Manchin is now agreeing to President Biden's spending plan. So it looks like we can expect to receive a fourth stimulus check in the coming days. So you folks want to be sure to stay until the end of this video to find the latest news about the fourth stimulus check.
In ourselves, we invested in our people, not only in our roads and our highways and our bridges, but in our people, in our families. We're among the first to provide access to free education, 12 years of free education for anyone who is an American, beginning back in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And that decision to invest in our children and our families was a major part why we were able to lead the world for so much of the 20th century. But somewhere along the way, we took our eyes off the ball. Our infrastructure used to be the best in the world, not hyperbole, the best in the world. Today, according to the World Economic Forum, we rank 13th in the world. 12 other nations have superior infrastructure to us, and China has trains that go 230 miles an hour for long distances, and we got money to do that back in the administration of Barack Obama and Joe Biden, and you had a Republican governor who didn't want it, didn't want any parts of it. We used to lead the world in educational achievement. Now the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development ranks America 35 out of 37 countries when it comes to investing in early childhood education and care. 35 out of 37. We cannot be competitive in the 21st century global economy if we continue to slide. My wife, who's a community college professor, says, any nation that out-educates us will out-compete us. Say it again, any nation that out-educates us will out-compete us. And that's a fact. That's why I resolve that we have to once again build America from the bottom up and the middle out. I've never seen a time in American history when the middle class did well, the wealthy didn't do very well. But I'm tired of trickle down. Trickle down hadn't worked so much for the last 15 years for working class and middle class folks. That's why I propose two critical pieces of legislation being debated back in Washington right now. These bills are not about left versus right or moderate versus progressive or anything that pits one American against another. These bills are about competitiveness versus complacency. Competitiveness versus complacency. They're about expanding opportunity, not opportunity denied. They're about leading the world or continuing to let the world pass us by. First, the infrastructure bill. It's about rebuilding the arteries of America. And the Portal Bridge project is showing why investments like this are so important. When the Portal Bridge was built, it was state-of-the-art, and it really was. But 110 years ago, today, it's been called
business taxes to a level that would leave American industries paying more than their competitors in communist China. They've talked about jacking up marginal income tax rates in ways that would hammer small businesses and family businesses that file as pass-throughs. They've talked about adding a second death tax to give the IRS an even bigger bite out of family farms. They've even promised something that our country has never seen before: a new IRS surveillance dragnet where the IRS would get to track ordinary citizens' inflows and outflows. Banks and credit unions would be forced to hand over Americans' private information to the IRS. The Democrats are so desperate to shake down the American people for money that they're proposing to essentially treat everybody like they're under audit. For months now, our Democratic colleagues have been toying with one staggering tax increase after another. We've seen one disappointing jobs report after another, one historic inflation report after another, but Democrats are still convinced that the biggest peacetime tax hikes on record in American history are just what the doctor ordered. As one news report explained, the scramble has opened the door to potential tax proposals that progressives could only have dreamed of.
A lot of action will be taken by lawmakers in Congress this week. Nancy Pelosi has expressed confidence that a deal between Democrats to salvage Biden's ambitious social agenda was pretty much there, paving the way for a possible vote in Congress later this week. Many Americans are happy to hear that Pelosi is taking real action for the American people. Americans have been waiting for the new relief bill to pass since negotiations began several weeks ago. And Pelosi's upbeat words came as Joe Biden was meeting in Delaware with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin to put up the finishing touches on what has become a scaled-back package of President Biden's Build Back Better initiative. Joe Manchin was one of two moderate Senate Democrats, along with Kyrsten Sinema, revisiting the original $3.5 trillion cost of the social spending bill. Manchin did indicate that he would be more comfortable with something closer to $1.5 trillion, and raised objections over Biden's Clean Power Plan that would have imposed emission controls on power companies. Nancy Pelosi told CNN, "We will have something that will meet the president's goals, and I feel very confident about that. We're almost certain we have a deal. It's just the language of it. It would not offend the concerns that Manchin had." So it is really great to know that Democrats have agreed to a deal and a finalized version of the bill. But Pelosi did not disclose what elements of the original social safety net bill would have to be compromised or dropped to meet the lowest price tag acceptable to moderates. Possibly in the chopping block were long-held Democratic goals like paid family leave and expanding Medicare for hearing, vision, and dental. Pressed on whether those elements would survive, Pelosi was non-committal, using phrases like, "That's our hope," and "That's what we're fighting for." Pelosi also insisted that the administration had an array of alternative options to probably pay for more than half of the plan, even if Kyrsten Sinema's opposition ruled out a reversal of the president's tax cuts. Everybody, raising taxes is a major part of paying for the expanded social safety net. A 5-page memo outlined $2.9 trillion in tax increases proposed by House Ways and Means Democrats, the largest increase in decades. According to Forbes, about $1 trillion will come from high-income Americans. Democrats propose raising the top income tax rate for people making over $400,000 from 37% to 39.6%. The top capital gains rate would be increased from 20 to 25%. And the Joint Committee on Taxation estimates tax changes would raise more than $2 trillion in revenue over 10 years, with roughly nearly $1 trillion from corporate and international tax reforms. But some critics say that the spending plan is full of delayed starts and cost shiftings to states, designed to fit to $3.5 trillion into a 10-year budget window. Democrats also say that $3.5 trillion will be paid for with $2.3 trillion of tax increases, $700 billion in savings from changing how Medicare and Medicaid buy prescriptions. Folks, can this bill get done? Tell me what you think in the comments below.